Hey y'all. So tonight we're talking about success doesn't always feel safe. Okay? I know the first thing y'all probably like, what is she talking about now? Think about it. Success doesn't always feel safe. If you really just listen to the title, think about it like this. If you're trying to move into something new, of course you're going to be nervous. You're going to be like, here comes the doubt. You know what? Like, I can't do this. Who knows? You're literally missing out on your blessing. You don't know what making that next move can do for you in your life. You know what I'm saying? Success doesn't always feel safe, okay? You're elevating, you're growing, you're doing everything you once asked God for. But somehow winning feels heavy. You're losing people, comfort, old versions of yourself, and the familiar home you once lived in emotionally, okay? The familiar home you once lived in emotionally. Think about it. What am I talking about? In your emotional aspect of you, you feel safe with just being content. Okay, if you're not moving, if your life is just turning into a routine, why would you do anything different? Because you know how it's going to start, you know how it's going to end. But what if you're looking for something different? You can't keep moving the way you've been moving, okay? Nobody told you that becoming your best self often means grieving the pieces you can't take with you. Talk about losing relationships, comfort zones, routines, and identities that kept you safe. God will let you win publicly, but prune you privately. Don't mistake pruning for punishment, all right? I know you're about to Google it. I did too. Pruning, it means God removes what is hindering spiritual growth, okay? God removes what is hindering spiritual growth. That is pruning. Sometimes God removes what can't grow. Sometimes God removes what can't grow. Also, sometimes God removes what can't sustain your next level. Okay. Why would you still keeping yourself in an environment around, places, situations, and it's just like it's nothing but content? If you're okay with being content, cool. Keep doing what you're doing. But if you're trying to grow, you have to branch out. It's very nervous. Trust me. You're going to be freaking out. It's okay. I'm dealing with that right now. Okay? But it's going to be okay. You're going to have them nights where you just sitting in the house and you're crying and you're just like, is this the best move for me? But I do have an answer. You can't keep asking, is this the best move for me? Unless you do it. Either you win or you fail. Either you grow or you just like, you know what? Never look at things for a mistake because it's always a purpose for everything that we do and everything that we grow into. Okay? When you take a leap at something and it fails, it's okay. That's a learning tool. Understand, like, you know what? Maybe I didn't think about that thoroughly enough before I made the decision. Maybe I just said okay and didn't pay attention to what could potentially happen or the place that it could put me. But I don't want to sit here and keep us sitting in the same place and not trying to move on and grow because you never know what's out there. You have to keep going. You're not losing. You're shedding. You're upgrading, okay? Growth doesn't feel like home at first because you never lived there before. You can't bring an old mindset into a new room. If your whole life you've been sitting here saying, I can't, and then you get what you want, and you're just like, wait a minute, I can't. No, it don't work like that. You have to say, I will, or I'm going to figure it out. I'm telling you, I tell myself that every single day when I come across issues and I'm stumbling at it, or I just don't know. It's either you win or you fail. You're either going to figure it out or you're just going to sit there and be like, okay, I am so lost. I made a mistake. Don't do that. You're hindering your growth. You can't blame that on nobody else. That's on you. You're scared to move forward and you're scared because you're thinking that you're going to fail. But like I told y'all before, if you don't move on, if you don't grow, if you don't do different things, you're no longer having a story. Because how are you going to sit here and read the book when it starts the same way? Of course, that's our life. It's always going to start the same way. But it keeps ending the same way. Every chapter you go into, that's boring. At some point, ain't nobody gonna want to read that book no more because they're gonna be like, oh, okay, the next chapter, he or she gonna do the same thing they've been doing. At what point is it going to get interesting? Start looking at your life like that. Like, what is really interesting in my life? Like, what's really happened to me? What has been that biggest jump that I was so scared to make? And then when I made it, look how beautiful it ended. You know what I'm saying? Of course, we all gonna be scared at first. With the new ventures that I have going on, I was terrified. But sometimes you gotta, I'm not saying that everybody needs to do this, but what I did for myself, I'm just like, you know what? If I don't do this, this is what's gonna happen. That's the only reason why I make certain jumps. Sometimes you need that, but sometimes you don't, because maybe where you were before you could have grew, but if you felt deep down inside that there was no way for you to grow. You sat here and you thought about every other option. But wait, what about this? What about that? And if every time you thought about other options and you felt this gut letting you know, don't even waste your time. It's okay. We don't know what's going to happen, but let's try because life is going to move on regardless, okay? You want to be content? Cool, be content, but stop complaining. You want to grow? Go ahead and make that move. You're going to be like me. You'll be like, but wait, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And it's okay. If you don't know, it's okay. Keep moving. Don't say, I don't know, and just sit here and waiting for a miracle to happen. No. At some point, if you're sitting there stuck and you're still trying to figure it out, you're not moving, but you're trying to figure it out, that's one thing. But don't stay stuck there for months and years and all that. You have to figure it out. My biggest thing is I talk to the Lord. I just always do. I just sit here and cry and just talk. And every time I talk, sometimes what another thing that I found out is when you're sitting here and speaking to the Lord and everything, you're not going to get an you're not going to get an instant response. You have to sit there and just take it all in. Sit there and have your time with the Lord. Sit there and just be like, you know what? I'm going to stop everything. I'm going to turn this TV off. I'm going to put my phone on silent and all that. It's just me and you right now. Because when you sit there and you give it time, I promise you, the Lord will respond. It will. And another thing that I learned is when you're having your time with the Lord, what you need to do is have a notepad and a pen. And everything that comes to mind, sit there and keep jotting everything down, every single thing down. And who knows, you may look down and be like, that's the answer. So it's just like, I get it, but well, I used to get it. I no longer look at prayer like I'm going to pray to you because things are going wrong. Because what you need to do is pray when things are wrong, pray when things are great. Just sit here and take the time out and say, you know what, God? I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have the things that I do have if it wasn't for you. Thank you for the grace that you give me every day, every second of the day. Because who knows where we would be if we don't sit here and remember to be thankful. Just thankful for the little things, you know? That's why success doesn't always feel safe because when you sit here and you give your life to the Lord and you just like, you know what? I'm tired. Everything that I'm doing, it's not working. Be careful what you ask for, okay? In prayer. I'm telling you. Be careful what you ask for, because if you asking for all of this and everybody starts disappearing and you're sitting there by yourself, you can't sit here and pray and be like, "Wait, I asked for this. Why is this happen?" Duh. Like, we don't know the end plan. Maybe that was the goal. Maybe God is like, "You know what? I'm tired of you, because I'm trying to take you where you need to be, but you keep talking to everybody else but me. How am I supposed to help you when you don't even give time to me? You give it to everyone else and then you complain to me about everyone else." That's why I'm telling y'all, make sure you give God your time. I promise you. I promise you. I always tell y'all this. It is so peaceful. And it's like you see things that you would have never saw before. It is great. But back on I mean not but and back on topic, success doesn't always feel safe, okay? I promise you, take that leap. It's okay. It doesn't work out the way it needed to. It's okay. Find something else to do or keep going at it until you get it. Okay? It's only two options. You either win or you fail. Pick and choose.